Welcome to Uptown Radio. It's Monday, December 8th. I'm your host, Elliot Leitner.
And I'm Maya Abu Ali.
In today's show, a story about how AI styling tools are shaking up the fashion industry.
It's not definitive, it's not individual, it's not brand affirming. All it'll do is dilute the brands.
How mobile betting and AI are making it harder to quit gambling.
The AI suggestions were extremely accurate, almost uncomfortable, The app always seemed to know the exact teams I followed or the bet types I liked. It seemed to always pull me back into betting. I could never really get away.
Coming up, how one New Yorker is finding a way to support families in Gaza from right here at home.
It's 2:00 in the morning and he's like, they're bombing again. And he's so nonchalant about it.
And a trip back in time to explore New York City's Little Syria, an Arab neighborhood erased by development.
Arabic language mass media became a thing not in Damascus or Beirut or Jerusalem or Ramallah or Cairo or Istanbul. It became a thing in New York City.
But first, we have local news.
From New York, I'm Kristen Merrilees. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Sunday that the first part of the Gaza ceasefire deal is completed. He will meet with President Donald Trump later this month to discuss the second phase of the plan, he said. Luigi Mangione, the accused killer of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, returns to court today. It is the fourth day of a pretrial hearing that will determine what evidence can be used in his trial. Mangione's defense argues that his Miranda rights were not read before he was searched. His attorneys say everything found in his backpack should thus be excluded as evidence. On Sunday, Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani posted a video to social media explaining the rights New Yorkers have in dealing with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. These include the right to remain silent and film ICE officials.
If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, "I do not consent to entry," and the right to keep your door closed.
Mamdani posted the video a week after ICE attempted to detain people on Canal Street, near Chinatown. If you're out and about in the chilly weather today, put some layers on or go inside, says New York City Emergency Management. The agency is warning New Yorkers of Arctic cold today and Tuesday. Today is the coldest day since February. Riders of the F and M trains may have noticed a change in their routes today. It is the first day that F and M trains are permanently swapping routes between Manhattan and Queens. Now, the F train will make stops at 4 stations that used to be M stops, and vice versa. The change in service will occur only on weekdays between 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. The swap is meant to improve service by eliminating a merge at Queens Plaza. Riders can find more information on the MTA website. From Uptown Radio, this is Kristen Merrilees.
Well, when the pandemic hit, about 20% of bookstores said they might have to close for good. But what happened next was quite remarkable. Communities across the country rallied, showing up in meaningful ways to support their local bookstores. I have with me Allison Hill, the CEO of the American Booksellers Association, to speak about what change this movement has caused.
We saw this huge rally around kind of a shop local movement, communities realizing what it would mean to lose bookstores, and people started experiencing losing their favorite restaurant, losing their favorite bar, losing their favorite bookstore, and we really saw people show up in this meaningful way to kind of save bookstores. And that became the beginning of this trend that we've seen now for several years of between 200 and 300 bookstores opening each year for the last 5.5 years.
Do you know if there's a specific demographic?
Who's opening?
Yeah, or even the customers themselves. Is this a trend driven by younger people?
I mean, in recent years, millennials have definitely been driving book sales, and now we're really seeing significant book interest from Gen Z and the rising generation. And a little bit of a different approach sometimes. Like, I think a lot of what we're seeing in terms of books as beautiful objects and as identity signals are definitely coming out of like Gen Z being driven by book talk and beautiful splayed edges and special editions with special features and, still the passion for books, but kind of coming at it from a different angle. So that's been very interesting and has definitely, I think, given the book industry a lot of hope that people are still buying books and still reading, and it's not generational and it's going to continue, and that people just, it's different, right? I mean, Gen Z is going to be more of a hybrid reader because they're going to be reading, but they're also going to be watching the Netflix show that was created from a book that they loved, right? They're going to do both. It's not going to be screen or book. And I think the other change has been around podcasts, and podcasts being so incredibly popular, and that being its own driver to audiobook, which has kind of crossed across, is really across every generation. So I think that's been really interesting. I mean, there's such a desire to support these small businesses right now, and such community support around bookstores. And that to me was a really good demonstration of how much New Yorkers love their independent bookstores. I mean, I think the other thing that people recognize is that there's quantifiable there's a quantifiable difference when you shop with an independent bookstore in terms of community support. I mean, Civic Economics did a report called Unfulfilled, Amazon and the American Retail Landscape. And basically, when you purchase something from an independent bookstore, it produces more than 2 times the local economic activity as the same purchase from Barnes & Noble, and 4 times more than Amazon. So there's an economic impact. There's an impact in terms of making sure your community has character and personality and has diversity and isn't just like Anthropology, Starbucks, Gap, Anthropology, Starbucks, Gap, like so many so many things can become.
Curious about why independent stores, like why is their impact so much greater than Amazon or?
Well, if you think about some of it is an interesting thing to think about because you have to kind of break it down. I mean, just as an example, I mean, if corporate is buying the books, then you've got all those positions in some other state, right? You don't have them just locally. So like I came from a bookstore. My last bookstore I worked in was a very large independent in the Los Angeles area. And, we had 200 employees and all of those people lived in that community. So the money they were being paid was going immediately back into that community. There wasn't someone at some corporate office somewhere that was reaping the benefit of that local revenue. We were hiring all local vendors. We were putting money back into the schools in terms of charitable contributions. Like everything was just cycling within a pretty small radius around that store. I mean, when I was at my store, my daughter was in the local schools, so my bookstore did a lot of things for that school because I was a parent there. And, there's just a lot of like relationships and things that contribute to that too, I think.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, Elliot, what a great conversation. I'm curious, do you read hard copies or are you an audiobooks person?
Call me old-fashioned, but I like just going in all those bookstores. I just like the feel of a good hard copy. Gets in my bones.
I feel you. Well, it sounds like after years of decline, independent bookstores are finally turning the page. Over 300 new independent bookstores opened nationwide last year, and the number keeps growing. Elliot Leitner reports from New York City on how these bookstores are bringing books and community back.
It's a beautiful book. It's so fun. If you're feeling like...
On a misty Wednesday morning, in the heart of Brooklyn's Crown Heights, Savannah Sturkey greets a steady stream of customers at her brand new bookshop, Love and Legends. Despite being open only 4 days now, business is booming, says Sturkey.
There was a hour-plus wait to get in the door the entire day. There were people in line before we got here at 8 a.m.
It's become a familiar sight at many independent bookstores across the city. Book lovers lining up in droves for a chance at something a little more personal than Amazon, like customer Andy Sheridan.
I like the personal notes on bookshelves, and I like the community in a bookstore.
For some, the trend may seem odd after years of reports of a shrinking industry and rising technology.
Have already forced out many booksellers.
But to booksellers like Sturkey, the reason for the comeback is simple.
Our third space to come and gather and talk about books. You want to talk for hours about this world that you were just lost in for the last few weeks.
Something she saw the need for after the COVID-19 lockdowns.
But I think 2020, being shut inside, a lot of people returned to the love of reading, but then at the same time, you all felt very isolated.
A need that's driven bookstores, like Midtown's Books of Wonder, a children's bookstore, to begin to hold events, like their beloved author readings, says long-term manager Rosalind Casey.
Everybody had to pivot. I mean, everybody had to be constantly coming up with new ways to connect, new ways to create community. A book event is the community coming together to throw a party.
Like Joshua David Stein, who signs books and reads from his new book, Make New Friends, to a room full of squirming children and patient adults.
Did you make any new friends? His dad asked.
It's a community Lisa Shallett-Goldberg, owner of the fashion store Minnie Rose, wanted for her neighborhood on the Upper East Side when the beloved indie bookstore Shakespeare & Company closed earlier this year.
Nothing like sitting down with a good book. One girl was just in here, she said she read 48 books in 3 months. People read.
Shallett-Goldberg never considered herself a bookseller. That was until California bookstore owner and author Zibby Owens decided to open a pop-up right there in the middle of her boutique, a decision she hasn't regretted since.
And I said, look at all the people in the store right now. They're constantly coming in. It's built tremendous brand awareness.
So booming, in fact, that this year, Shallett-Goldberg decided to make it permanent. A happy ending Savannah Sturkey wouldn't mind for her own bookstore, Love and Legends.
I'm just looking forward to being here. And I mean, it really is like my baby. I immediately am sad when we close for the night and I have to go home away from her.
Columbia Radio News, I'm Elliot Leitner. Meanwhile, another industry is facing challenges. New York City is considered the fashion capital of the world, and the garment district was once the heart of that industry. Reporter Hope Carlton Paget reports on the district's uncertain future.
The largest industry is the making of all kinds of clothes, from underwear to fur coats.
This summer, New York City approved a plan to rezone Midtown's historic garment center. It will bring more than 9,500 new homes into an area long dominated by factories and showrooms.
More than a third of all the clothing worn in the United States is made in Manhattan's Midtown Garment Center.
The plan risks displacing the remaining garment workers who are still keeping the district alive by outpricing them, forcing them to relocate their factories to cheaper locations in the city. City officials argue that amid New York City's housing crisis, converting old buildings into apartments is necessary. Inside M&S Schmalberg, the last of a dozen artificial flower manufacturers, fourth-generation owner Adam Brand walks me past rows of presses, each stamping out flowers one by one.
Can you just grab the door?
But Brand remembers a very different garment district. As a kid visiting his father at work, he remembers streets packed with pushcarts and garment racks.
The streets have a much different feeling, not for the better, definitely for the worse.
As production moved overseas in the late 90s and early 2000s, hundreds of local factories were forced to close their doors. But the buildings themselves were designed for manufacturing.
The idea of just relocating us to some random building in Brooklyn or Queens or wherever it may be is flawed in that most of those buildings were built as office buildings. That'll be a lot of fun when the machinery comes crashing down.
A few blocks away, Claudia Amaya, who has owned Grace Appel Productions since 2017, feels left in the dark about what the city is really planning and what protection will be given to garment workers.
We haven't received anything.
And she questions how residential life would fit into the neighborhood at all.
Because, this is very commercial area. And I don't see, looking kids who running around, like you expect, when it's residential.
But for her, the district is still very much alive.
It's not just news about all the business are closing. No, a lot of business are opening with new ideas.
For 78-year-old Terry Schwartz of Sherry Accessories, the garment district ceased to exist decades ago.
It started dying in about the year 2000. It's gone downhill from there.
When Schwartz first opened his factory in 1972, there were 300 belt factories in the garment district. Now, only 2 remain.
First of all, the rezoning plan is a joke because they've already rezoned it. All they're trying to do is get more factories out of here.
New apartments may ease the city's housing crisis, but for many who have built their livelihoods here, it feels like the final chapter in a long decline. Whether the district can change without disappearing entirely remains unclear. From Columbia University, this is Hope Carlton-Paget.
Well, despite these challenges, fashion is looking up at updates with AI entering the scene, disrupting the jobs it aims to replace. Just ask Ralph. Lauren, that is. In Soho, Sage West has the story.
As AI technology becomes more advanced, industries are adopting its technologies into their business models at a rapid rate. And it's becoming increasingly more popular within creative industries as digital content creation becomes higher in demand. With the creation of virtual reality wardrobes and AI styling services, numerous brands and designers are beginning to incorporate AI into their design process and retail operations.
Bye. Nice to meet you, Jamie. Thank you.
Jamie Rose is a stylist and photographer who has worked in fashion for over 3 decades. In recent years, Rose has witnessed AI make its way into the luxury fashion space.
I've seen it being used as trend prediction. It's another algorithm.
In September, American fashion brand Ralph Lauren debuted a new AI stylist called Ask Ralph, created in the image of the founder and designer Ralph Lauren himself. All users have to do is create an account and ask Ralph what would look best for, say, a night out. Lauren's website calls Ask Ralph a conversational shopping experience that invites consumers to engage with and be inspired by Ralph Lauren's unique and iconic take on style. Although many actually working in the industry aren't fans of this new integration. They say AI bots lack the ability to capture emotion and that human touch, something often emphasized in art. Rose says AI doesn't live up to human talent.
Lazy, incompetent, behind the curve. Obviously, the people that made those decisions have no idea about styling. Initially, I'm sure in the meetings, everybody was like, yes, but we can create all this wonderful AI content. But it's not definitive, it's not individual, it's not brand affirming. All it'll do is dilute the brands.
While the AI technologies are proposed as innovative solutions to help companies, they can often be disruptive to the creative process, leaving many industry professionals feeling prey to its advances. Tammy Oni, an AI analytics business associate, has witnessed the rapid integration of AI as well. Yet she says its limitations pose challenges to creative industries like fashion and art.
The beauty of fashion is that, there are no limits and no bounds. No matter what, humans have, they just do it better than AI, especially in the arts, like fashion.
Sage West for Columbia News Service.
AI is also making its way to the betting business. Mobile gambling apps have become widespread and have transformed how New Yorkers bet. Raquel Miller reports on how addictions are on the rise as AI becomes tailored to its users.
I'm at Resort World New York in Queens, where a massive 2-story casino houses over 7,000 slot machines and table games. Whimsical row upon row of brightly colored machines fill every nook of space. But what if all this could exist in your phone? AI-powered apps give gamblers like Tim Lam their personal casino around the clock. Lam, 27, is a recovering gambling addict. He says he started pretty young.
Growing up Chinese, you kind of get exposed to gambling since it's common in Chinese culture.
In 2018, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of sports betting. 4 years later, New York legalized mobile gambling. With online sportsbooks and casinos now just a click away, betting became a part of Lam's daily routine.
When I first started gambling, it was, $5, $10 per bet. When time went on, I started to increase the bet sizes, which eventually blew up to $500, even almost $1,000 a bet.
Lam says betting consumed a large part of his day.
It was pretty much interfering in my daily activities, and that's when I realized that this is a problem.
The problem has only worsened as new technology makes gambling more accessible. For players like Lam, mobile betting apps are making it easier to stay engaged.
The AI suggestions were extremely accurate, almost uncomfortable, The app always seemed to know the exact teams I followed or the bet types I liked. it seemed to like always pull me back into betting. Like I could never really get away.
Lamb's concern mirrors that of Jonathan D. Cohen, author of Losing Big, America's Reckless Bet on Sports Gambling.
The version of sports gambling that we have is unnecessarily designed in such a way that will lead people into trouble.
He offers one solution to the problem.
The idea of friction, or slowing down the users of the apps so that it's almost impossible for someone to sort of start betting casually and for that casual gambling to devolve into a problem.
Lamb says gambling is a particularly difficult addiction to manage because of how far it will make you go.
I said the most daring or extreme thing I've done because of gambling would be betting money to replace my water boiler. That was crazy. I probably shouldn't have done that.
Bruce W. of Gambling Anonymous, New York, understands those risks.
I used to say to myself, I hope God takes me tonight and I don't have to get up in the morning to deal with what I'm going to have to do all over again. Steal and beg and borrow and grovel. Ugh. So it's a terrible disease.
It's been a year since Lamb gambled, and he believes it's all because he talked about his struggles.
People should be more transparent and share with, their loved ones, because the more awareness, the quicker they can get help.
Stories like Lamb's are familiar to Bruce W. He has this message for others.
All you need to do is stop gambling one day at a time. And as you continue to abstain from gambling, your lives will become better.
It is expected that with continued advancement of AI, the discussion around mobile gambling will continue. Raquel Miller, Columbia Radio News.
Did you make it?
Later are more stories on green burials and how jazz artists are surviving in New York City.
You're listening to Uptown Radio.
There's more to come. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Uptown Radio. I'm Maya Abu Ali.
And I'm Elliot Leitner.
As the shaky ceasefire holds in Gaza, people around the world are trying to help Palestinian survivors. But for those in need, aid is still hard to reach. Reporter Hope Jew brings us the story of one New Yorker doing her part to help.
Oh, you got some pretty things there.
What do you got here? Did you make these?
We're at the Inwood Farmers Market, where Trish Maud, a New York-based artist, has been selling baked goods since her 47th birthday in September. All money goes to support 15 Palestinian families in Gaza.
So for my birthday, all I really wanted, I feel like I have enough things. I have all the things that I need, and all I really wanted was to get more support and donations and money to my friends in Gaza.
Those friends came through Israeli activists she met in grad school. After the war began, they connect her with family in Gaza over WhatsApp. As bombing continued and family were displaced over and over, her small donation didn't feel like enough. One of her friends, 24-year-old Adele Sheriff in North Gaza, hadn't had a sweet in 18 months. Sheriff, a father of two, runs a small mutual aid group delivering water to nearby villages.
What he's sent me most frequently is the sound of bombs or gunfire happening in the background. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning and he's like, they're bombing again. And he's so nonchalant about it.
Maud raised money for 6 water tankers, plus food and baby formula.
And so he finally got the ingredients to make these amazing kakaswar. They're the Palestinian date cookie. And he and his sister posted a video of them making these cookies. And they look delicious, and they made it look so easy.
That's when the idea of a Palestinian-themed bake sale came to her.
And they sent me the recipe. My first attempt, they came out horrible. They did not look like they were supposed to. I couldn't roll them. I couldn't make them into bracelets. And so this is my 6th attempt, and I finally got them down.
When she started laying out those Palestinian sweets at Inwood's farmer's market, neighbors showed up.
My contribution is to these zatar pies. We call them an ushib zatar in
That is Christine Kwan, a Lebanese-American mom whose kids are in the same class as Maud's son, Cole. Her father fled Palestine in 1948 during the first Nakba. By 2 p.m., everything's nearly sold out. Maud told the good news to Sheriff.
Adele?
Since the ceasefire, Sheriff is back home in North Gaza. His home, a field of rubble. He's digging through what's remaining. But tomorrow, he'll deliver more water. And he'll send Maud another message.
How are you? I'm good.
And they'll talk as usual. From Columbia Radio News, this is Hope Drew.
I am okay, thank you. Oh, good.
From present-day struggles to New York's own Arab past, this story talks about what existed before the city's skyscrapers. Interest is growing in the forgotten neighborhood wiped out by mid-century development. Now, historians and longtime residents are working to ensure its story isn't lost again. Maya Abu Ali reports.
So this is the heart of Little Syria on Washington Street.
On a misty Saturday afternoon, historian and urbanist Asad Dandia leads a small group through Lower Manhattan.
Cobblestone streets, maybe 3-4-story tenement buildings. This is what was here, right?
The neighborhood looks like any other corner of the financial district until he tells you what used to stand here.
Is the Mahfouz business. They were in the textile trade mostly, so mostly women.
Little Syria was a bustling Arab neighborhood that stretched along Washington Street starting in the 1880s. Nearly all of it was razed by the 1940s for the construction of the Battery Tunnel and later the World Trade Center.
Built, and the community is, as a residential neighborhood, gone.
But Asad brings it back to life through old photos, maps, and research, and all across his tour are little relics that tell tales of the world that once thrived here.
You had the Nicholas Abaid, his pastry shop that was around here. None of these exist now.
In the early 1900s, Syrians made up about 15% of the financial district. Hundreds lived in a single tenement.
So this is not Damascus or Ramallah, this is Manhattan, Battery Park. And if you want a cup of juice or tea, pay 5 cents, you get the cup, and he'll tip over and he'll do a little show for you, pour it out, maybe sing a song, right?
The area became an epicenter for Arabic publishing, magazines, newspapers, and books that circulated across the world.
Arabic language and mass media became a thing not in Damascus or Beirut or Jerusalem or Ramallah or Cairo or Istanbul. It became a thing in New York City.
One of the few surviving relics is the facade of a Melkite church that served the Arab Christian community.
See this brown door on the right side, that little pipe? It says Syrian Church on the bottom. This church is now, thanks to the efforts of Joe, my mentor and friend, a designated historic landmark. The exterior is a landmark, not the interior. Last I checked, the interior was a Chinese restaurant.
The facade still exists thanks to one man Asad credits as his mentor. Joe Svalak is 82 and a human archive of the Lower West Side. As a child, Joe visited Little Syria with his family.
So that's telling people history is important. You have to save certain things or at least incorporate them into the new.
He sifts through preserved documents and photos, bakeries, textile shops, a community rooted in small businesses.
So there were all these things going on in the needle trades and such that they had. They had shops down there. They had, of course, their Arabic bakeries and their grocery stores and their importers and exporters.
Interest in Little Syria has surged recently, partly thanks to mayoral-elect Zohran Mamdani, whose campaign highlighted New York's Arab and Muslim history.
There's a great deal of interest now in Muslim, South Asian, Arab, ethnic, religious minorities and learning about, like, who are they, where do they come from, where do they live? And it's interest from everyday people, but also from, like, media conglomerates. Like after he won the primary, CNN called me, and they were like, "Can you help explain why a certain neighborhood, like that was a Republican neighborhood, voted for him?" And I said, "Well, you haven't been paying attention to the Muslim communities there that were inspired by his message." So definitely, a great deal of burgeoning interest.
And soon, the neighborhood will have a new marker of its past. After years of planning, a monument honoring the Arab diaspora is finally set to go up in spring 2026.
I don't want to spoil it, but there will be a monument celebrating the Arab diaspora in the neighborhood very soon. It's going up next year.
For Columbia News, I'm Maya Abu Ali. With increasing development, New York City is running out of space for the dead. As burial and cremation prices rise, more people are turning to green funeral options. But some of these methods aren't as green, cheap, or simple as they seem. Reporter Muskan Shah reports.
Forced to rethink how it serves them too. Green burials are becoming more popular. They don't use embalming and they rely on no or simple biodegradable caskets. At the Green Burial section of Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, funeral director Amy Cunningham talks about what these burials feel like.
Sometimes butterflies show up, sometimes the birds will cry at a particularly excellent moment. And it's so rewarding as a funeral director to observe people contending with the great loss and managing to find serenity and some kind of uplift through a simple graveside ceremony that's performed in an earth-friendly way.
Green burials feel peaceful, and they could also solve New York's space problem, but only if the land is reused. H.K. Lee, funeral director at Aeon Woods, talks about how this works.
If a body is buried in a way that it promotes biodegradation, that the body will fully decompose within 10 to 20 years, including the bones. And I think that provides an opportunity for us to rethink how we think about conventional burials as a piece of land forever for a single body versus, hey, how do we responsibly reuse this land?
But in the U.S., most states don't allow graves to be reused, even if the body fully decomposes. That's where other green funeral methods come in. Human composting might be a solution.
Composting in urban areas may offer some solutions. That way, we're just creating luscious, gorgeous, healthy soil that can be placed in all kinds of wooded areas.
New York State has approved human composting, but nobody has built the facilities, said funeral director and owner of Ripple, Caroline Schrank.
The day the bill was signed, I must have gotten 20 emails from friends and people saying, wow, this is legal. And I have to say, well, 5 years maybe it will happen.
Even this new method comes with complications. It may save land, but it also has environmental costs that are not always considered.
In the case of human composting, you're talking about lots of organic matter that needs to be grown, transported, put into the container. So it's really questionable as to when you look at the entire system.
For many families, green burials are not characterized by the lack of space at all. They're about values and how the funeral feels. Carol Cruz learned that when she helped coordinate her friend's green burial.
It was a beautiful day in June. And the light that was shining through the trees was like a spotlight right on his plot. This was just so holy. It was so sacred. You also feel like nature is taking some of the burden off of you that day.
With increasing demand for such funerals, Cunningham says that the business is changing.
If you had asked me that question 2 years ago, I would have said, yes, there is resistance. I'm sensing it much less now. I really am.
As New Yorkers rethink how they want to be remembered, the industry is being forced to rethink how it serves them too. Muskan Shah, Columbia Radio News.
There's another craft that is rapidly changing, jazz. New York City was once known as the epicenter for great jazz musicians to hone their talent. But culture has changed, and jazz clubs are fighting to keep the genre alive. Victoria Mendizabal reports on the changing scene.
In the mid-20th century, New York City jazz was at its prime. But socioeconomic crises such as the 9/11, the 2008 crash, and the pandemic left jazz aside. At least, this is how Spike Wilner, musician and owner of the Club Smalls, describes it.
It's impossible to become, to make a living from the music on a local level anymore. The guys that make a living are always on the road or trying to find work that takes them out of the city.
It's true that people are turning to jobs elsewhere, as New York has now become the second most expensive city in the world. But Wilner still holds on to the memory of when there were opportunities for jazz in the city.
30 years ago, to me, it was a very serious endeavor to be a jazz musician because the message was very strong. I got in when, say, the very powerful fabric of African American jazz artist residents in New York were still alive. And these people lived and died by the music. The bar was so high.
For Jed Eisenman, manager of the Village Vanguard, there is also a larger cultural shift that draws today's generation far from the specificity and expertise of jazz.
I don't think young people are so crazy about the old prototype of going down the stairs into a dark place and sitting at a small table in the dark in a very kind of close setting with other people and quietly, with applause and maybe a little yeah or whatever, but quietly enjoying an hour and 15 minutes of a jazz set. People like it more ambient now.
Its downfall came in the 60s as rock and roll hits quickly eclipsed jazz melodies. A recent survey found jazz is among the 5 least popular genres worldwide. And fewer places to perform weakens an already fragile scene. The remaining clubs that survived the pandemic are in West Village or Brooklyn, but are constantly threatened by expensive costs.
Got way too much supply, too many great musicians, and way too little demand, not nearly enough legit places to play, and ultimately people willing to pay and come to listen to the show and support it.
Only a few clubs like the Vanguard and Smalls have the privilege to compensate musicians accordingly. At Smalls, Wilner credits his success to simplicity rather than a luxurious ambience.
A lot of clubs, to me, spend a lot of money on things that may or may not be necessary. It's easy to spend a lot of money. It's hard to strip it down.
Similarly, Eisenman recalls that keeping the eyes on the passion for music rather than the money is also key to success.
The people that have run this club, Max and his wife and Deborah and myself are, jazz enthusiasts. So we were never in it to get rich. That was not the point,
Despite how jazz seems to be slowly vanishing in today's culture, musicians and club owners still see passion worth saving, and they do not seem to give up that uphill fight. Victoria Mendizabal for Columbia Radio News.
That's it for today's edition of Uptown Radio. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Our executive producer today is Hope Jew. Our senior editor is Muskan Shah, and our senior producer is Sage West.
Director Victoria Mendizabal was in the studio today with board operator Raquel Miller and Farrago producer Hope Carlton Paget.
Our webcaster, Jiwan Lee, got this stream live to the web. And our newscaster today is Kristen Marilise. Our amazing instructors Naomi Starobin and Jenna Maris Perez advised our staff. I'm Elia Leitner.
And I'm Maya Abu Ali. Thank you for listening.
Happy holidays.